Welcome into the Graham and Mac Lane podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Graham and Mac Lane. Mac and I are all over the place, but we are excited because we had to get on to talk about these playoff rankings and to talk about what the heck happened in the ACC championship. But Mac, we will start here. Miami is in. The absolute doomsday scenario did not happen. It was kind of half doomsday because the ACC champion did get left out, but Miami's in at the 10 spot. What are your initial thoughts, reaction to all this nonsense?
Yeah, it was code blue. You know, it was full. The sirens are going, the room's blue, everything's going around. And then at 12:30, whatever, the lights turned orange and green and everything was good and life is good. Life is good. So, we'll talk about that championship game too, here in a second. But, I think there's kind of a bigger overarching picture. The first thing, being said, huge congratulations, to the Miami Hurricanes getting in the college football playoff. Huge congratulations to the Duke Blue Devils winning the ACC championship for the first time in a long time, and the fashion that which they did it. Whew, we got to discuss it because it was really impressive coaching job and execution by those players. But it just feels like, kind of to go back to the playoff, it should have been this way for a while. And there shouldn't have been this drama in regards to Miami being ahead of Notre Dame if they were going to do it now. Like, they should have been there. Nothing changed. And so that, to me, it was frustrating. And because it hadn't changed, all year long, or all, kind of rankings long until the very last one, the one that obviously matters, I didn't think it was going to happen. I mean, I was sad, crawled up in a ball here in my hotel room, watching this thing, just because I've been here before and it's not fun, to have your team, kind of left out in the ACC here. And all the metrics, everything that proves, Miami is either even or, again, beat these guys. And so to me, there was never any debate about it. I thought it was so weird how the committee had them there. And I think that goes to the bigger overarching thing here, KG, of we have the most flawed system to get this college football playoff that there is in sports that
In
matter.
sports.
And so it's pretty bonkers to me that we have this, and the reasoning, the reason is whoever they want to put. There is no reason. There is no logical, sound football thing. It's just whatever BS they want to spew and they want to put together. And I think that's a real shame. The fact that, Alabama is in this thing and everybody wants to sit here and scream and kind of cry and kick about, well, conference championship weekend shouldn't matter. Why? It's a game. It's a data point. Sorry, if you don't want to lose in the SEC championship, don't go or join another conference that you think you can win. So sorry. And you got aired out, Alabama. You've looked horrible for a month. So it's not like it was just this one game. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Like Ohio State. Those are totally different instances. And yet they wanted to compare those, on these bigger shows, which is just crazy to me when you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to break down, Mac. I agree that this is the most flawed system in a major multi-billion-dollar sport. It's baffling that we have this. And then, talking about the championship weekend in Alabama, almost acting like that game didn't even get played, it feels really disingenuous. But then, you flip it, right? If Notre Dame could have played, maybe they could have helped themselves. So there's always the positive of it is a data point. It must be treated like it matters.
Correct.
And then you flip it to Mac. BYU plays. They also get blown out like Bama, and they get penalized. So it just makes no sense. But I am encouraged by the fact that they put a 10-2, a 2-loss ACC team without a championship in the playoff. Now, did Miami deserve it? Absolutely. But we doubt what this committee is going to do, especially when it pertains to the ACC. It feels like they don't want the ACC involved. And to your point, Mac, to create this drama all season, again, the word, I said it earlier, disingenuous. It feels fake. Like you created this drama all year with Miami, and then you just put them in. I mean, what are we doing? It's just a made-for-TV situation.
It absolutely is. And I think even just the further, kind of flawed thinking and, what they do, how they do. I mean, Ohio State kind of got punched in the face too. And then you got another team in Georgia that hammered Alabama, a team that you think is extremely playoff worthy. How does Ohio State just drop one spot? How does Georgia not jump them and become the number 2 team in the country? How hot they are when you see Ole Miss, who by your bylaws has lost a head coach who will be a different team. How did they
Yep.
move up 2 weeks ago and haven't moved at all? How do you have a Texas A&M team that lost to a very good Texas team that you admire, that you have at number 13 in your rankings here, and yet you have them below Ole Miss there? It makes no sense with kind of how these things were spelled out, how they were ranked, how they evaluate. Um,
Did you know Ingalls only sells USDA Choice and Prime cuts of meat? Maybe it's time to reward yourself. Our butchers cut all our meat fresh in the store every day. Grass-fed, organic, you name it. Not only that, we'll even cut it to order just the way you like it. And we grind meat fresh in the store multiple times a day. It's all in the bag. That's the best meat in town for the best folks in town. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings.
And I'll say something else, and it's probably not popular at all, but it hasn't been proven otherwise. So until it is, I kind of stand on this, and I always have, because I played against these schools. I know what it's kind of like. G5 needs to have its own thing. Like, let's
Mm.
be honest, Oregon and Ole Miss, who, by the way, Ole Miss has already played Tulane and murdered them. Like, we've seen this game. Um, they they
Yeah.
they don't belong in this. They don't belong in this type of environment. And they should have the ability to win a national championship. Like JMU and Tulane and North Texas and others should have UNLV. Other people should have an actual shot to win a national championship. And right now they don't. And I think that's so dumb. Like, think of all the money there is to be had if you can do exactly what we're doing and double it, replicate it. People watch. People love football. They're going to
Yeah,
gamble on
people would
football. They're
watch.
going to watch football. It makes no sense at all to me why the G5 wants to lump themselves in just to get their ass beat, every single year here. I mean, maybe the money is that much better, but if you run the table in the national championship, that money will add up. The viewers will be there. The sponsorship will be there. People care. And so I don't like that. Like, I think they need their own thing. And again, that's more of the fact of, if I was at that school, if I was at an App State, if I was at a James Madison, if I was at a Troy, I would want the opportunity to win a national championship. And
Mm.
you don't have that. This isn't basketball, right? Like one 5-star unbelievable player cannot impact the game like you can on a basketball team. It's just different. And at the end of the day, it's a different kind of football. And I know those upsets happen, but they typically don't happen on the 12 best teams in America.
Yeah, and they typically don't happen in football, especially in a playoff situation. And Mac, I said this to you last night when the chaos was happening in Duke, Virginia, and we need to get to that. But I also want to talk a bit about Miami A&M because I think it's a good matchup for
Yeah.
Miami. But I said this to you last night. JMU getting in, the SEC's livid. Like someone in those offices, they're throwing chairs, like whatever. Because,
Yeah.
and I can kind of see it, right? To have JMU get in over Vanderbilt is like it just doesn't feel right. They're not a better team than Vanderbilt. So who knows? Maybe the fact that the Sun Belt champion is in because the ACC couldn't handle its business. All right. I'm not trying to take any blame away. That's obviously a problem. Maybe because that happened, that's a catalyst for the group of five to not be involved. I mean, I think it's sad for in some ways because the group of five being involved is cool in some ways, but like you said, these games are kind of They're very anticlimactic now with JMU and Tulane in those games and the rematch aspect of it too, Mac. But with Miami and A&M, the fact that Miami's 10, they're drawing the number 17 A&M playing College Station, and how A&M has looked the last couple weeks of the regular season, if you're Miami, not only are you thrilled that you're in, I think you're thrilled with this matchup, and we will
Yes.
get way deeper into this matchup over the next couple of weeks, Mac. We got so much content coming your way, but I thought this was a good draw for Miami.
100%. I mean, I was excited for them, to either be 9 or 10, to get either Texas A&M or Oklahoma, and obviously you would like to host, but kind of is what it is where you are. But this is a Texas A&M team that you look at their schedule. There's going to be a lot of data points that we give out to y'all that I think is going to shock some people. And listen, I've watched this team all year. And there was a time where they looked super, super juiced up. But then you pull back the curtain a little bit, see what
Yeah.
they play and maybe why they were so juiced up. And when it's bad, it's bad. It's just, it is what it is. And clearly that was the big key in that Texas game there. So I'm fascinated. I think Canes fans should be ecstatic. And I know they're going to travel well to that game. That's a big old stadium. A lot of tickets will be for sale. Not that Texas A&M is going to want that to necessarily happen. They're going to want to keep all theirs, and they do a great job. That place will be packed. One of the biggest stadiums in the country there. But again, I think it's really positive that your quarterback, Carson Beck, has played in all of these. He's not flustered by any of those. And again, we'll have a huge matchup, or a huge breakdown, of this game. But like you said, I love this matchup. And not to look too far ahead, I love playing Ohio State next because that is
Ooh.
games, and that is a huge one. That'll be a ton of fun if and when Miami's able to take that next step.
Yeah, we're gonna get all into this, Mac, and I'm excited about this playoff potential run for Miami. Now, let's finish here because I know you gotta go on TV and I've gotta drive home. But, we'll have a lot of stuff coming at you next week. Let's talk about the game, all right? Duke and Virginia, it had to be settled in overtime, and what I'm annoyed about, Mac, is that it made me stay up even later because Virginia came back and there was some hope, and I do think you'd have 2 teams in the playoff right now, which is insane to think
Yeah.
about with the year the ACC had, but just such a missed opportunity for Virginia. You had some untimely picks towards the end of the game for Chandler Morris. I thought maybe the biggest disappointment was Virginia's defense. Like they let Duke run the ball. They didn't really get any pressure on Darian Mensah. And this is a D line that was rebuilt through the portal. You didn't see that happen. I mean, what were your biggest takeaways from the game, Mac? And you were there, by the way.
Yeah, my biggest takeaways were Duke had an unbelievable plan. I mean, it was a master class from Manny Diaz and then these coordinators for Duke. I mean, they totally changed their scheme. They did stuff they had never done all year long, and specifically noticeable on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, they huddled KG. They held the ball
Yeah,
so long. It was
that was
almost like a
smart.
triple option team. They just wanted to eat the clock. They just wanted to hold on. And that first drive of 8+ minutes walking down the field, scoring a touchdown, special teams, like all these crazy things, going for it in overtime on 4th down and having the, creative play, tight ends just sitting there. He finds them, touchdown. Every single aspect, clock management, special teams calls, 4th down calls, every aspect of the game was a masterclass by Manny Diaz and
Mm,
company. And it was just so impressive to see those players execute it too, because when you change that much, that's not who you are. That's not who Duke is. They want to go fast and do this and that. They didn't do that. They changed everything because they felt like that's what they needed to do in this one game playoff, one game postseason that they were in to win. And they did, and it worked. And Darian Mensah is a monster. I mean, that dude is so good. And we had a ton of fun talking with him last week, had some great time with him after the game, after he had done it. And you remember, KG, how relieved he was saying we got in this
yeah.
game. It wasn't even relief. It was now like another level of confidence. And so to see him next year, to me, is going to
Yeah.
be really, really interesting. And, talking with some of the people, talking with himself and, wanting to maybe model his game a little bit more like Haynes King, be a little bit more of a runner. So building up, kind of his muscle and his body in the offseason. Darian Mensah is going to be on All-American lists going into next year, so just get ready for that. And then on the Virginia side, I think there certainly is some disappointment. A team that you were beating 31-3 in the fourth
Crazy.
quarter the first time you played them 3 weeks ago. The plan that they had in place and executing, not executing, having some really silly, dumb penalties that put you back and,
Mm,
and gave Duke either extra possessions, extra yards, things of that nature. Like you said, not tackling. I mean, Duke ran the ball all over them, and self-admittedly so from Duke. They went away from the run, didn't commit to the run. When they played them that first time, and they did, and Shepard was electric. But I thought Virginia was the better team, and maybe they still are on paper and what they're able to kind of do. But they didn't execute better that night, and Duke did, what they needed to do. And all of that said, as you mentioned, Virginia went 96 yards in 56 seconds and scored the game-tying touchdown. And it was insane. And so the only quarrel that I truly do have is I hated the play call, the first play call of over.
mm,
You just
yes.
did that unbelievable run that I was talking about, 96 yards, where sure, there was some penalties in that and you got some freebie yards, but you executed really well. You ran the ball really well, and you try to trick them. I hated that. I thought that was so
Mm,
dumb. to do that. And look, I've never called plays. I don't know, but at the end of the day, I have been a part of drives where we are methodically walking down the field in 2013 against South Carolina, and then all of a sudden we try to do tricky plays and it's a pick six and the game shifts and they never look back and we can't get back into it. And so there's something to trying to trick your way into a game when you don't need to. And I thought that was, really, really a shame there. But huge shout out again to Manny Diaz, to Coach David Feely, my boy. That offensive line from Duke was sick. Darian Mensah, of course, and everybody involved. It was really incredible to see that execution.
And this is why so many people have so much respect for Manny Diaz and the coach that he is.
Yeah.
And, I really hope Duke can hold on to him. You have Mensah coming back from all the reports that we've seen. Right? He's coming back. So, of course, you never know with the portal and all these crazy things, but I believe Darian Mensah will be back for Duke. I think Duke could have a really good year next year and is setting themselves up well. Virginia, of course, an incredible season. Nothing that we expected at all. Still bowl games to be had. I don't know if I want to ask you this, Beck, because I know that it's very complicated, the job you have of towing the line. I thought it was kind of ridiculous how we were talking about Duke making the playoff after
Oh
winning
yeah.
that game.
Yeah.
That was never going to happen.
No.
But you know what I did think though, and I know it's highest ranked conference champion, so you got to win the game. But
Mhm.
I don't know, between them and JMU, should it have even been a discussion? What do you think?
Well, I think Duke would beat JMU if that's what you're asking.
That's my point. That's why I'm
Yeah.
asking the question.
Yeah.
Because
I
Duke
think they would
would.
beat them, but I just think you didn't put yourself in position to even be
Yeah.
discussed in that manner
Right.
because you
The
lost to
non-conference
Tulane.
games killed you.
Yeah, because you lost to UConn. And that's unfortunate. So I think, again, it kind of goes back to the system. I think the system's flawed.
Right.
I think we need automatic qualifying. I think we need to win our way into this college football playoff, not a committee, not whatever. And listen, I'm in the camp. I get it. I know ball, and it's hard. If there is an unequal distribution
Mhm.
of automatic qualifiers that we have to take to get this done, and then yet still an at-large type of thing, then sure. But to have all the discussion, the fact that Duke could get hot and doesn't have a chance to fight,
Yeah.
for that when they were the champion and they won that, it is a shame, And do I think they could line up and beat Georgia? Maybe not, but also Darian Mensah could go insane, and maybe they could. I don't know. It's football in the end of the day. I don't think that about JMU. I don't think that at all about JMU. So it is a fascinating thing, and maybe that's a biased answer. If you asked an SEC person, maybe they shoot that down immediately, or an American person, they think they could. Who knows? But I do think there are massive systematic failures and kind of bad spots of this thing that need to be addressed like now. And I'm sure the SEC is going to be a big push, as you mentioned.
Mm.
The ACC has to be. The players that obviously at Notre Dame, I can't imagine what those conversations are like, because as we know, there is power at that school for whatever reason.
Yep.
And so it's, we've got to figure it out. We don't have it right. Is it going to be a fun playoff? Yes. Is it anywhere close to what it should be? No. And so
Yeah.
how do we get there, is going to be the interesting thing. So we'll see. Bowl games come out soon. It's 2:00 right now on Sunday. I think I'm just
Can't wait.
Y'all are going to see it soon as
Let's
I
just put
get
it out.
done here. We don't know where everybody's playing, so we'll do more episodes of that as we kind of find things out. KG's driving home. I'm jumping on the TV. So if you're watching this and it's not 6 p.m. yet on Sunday, go over to ACC Network and let's talk about it.